of voting, so they still have to count all of the mail-in vote. They didn't start opening the envelopes until today. That's going to take a long time. It's actually going to take several days. That mail-in vote is expected to really to lean heavily towards Joe Biden. So I think it's interesting. It's still a small amount, no doubt, but I think it's interesting already in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
It used to be swing areas, now they're trending deeper.
I mean, early indication, again, 16-17% expected vote in, but it's day of vote.
We have some exit polls from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Pennsylvania, when you compare it to Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania actually, the exit polls show Donald Trump's worst performance so far tonight when it comes to his approval rating. Let's dive in here and see what the exit poll shows. Again, these are preliminary, but the exit polls, as we mentioned earlier in the night, do reflect both, as John Carl was mentioning, people who voted today and those who were voting early in person. As you can see, let's try to refresh that and see if the job performance comes up. 52% disapproving of Donald Trump in his performance. Whether or not to contain the pandemic first or rebuild the economy, you can see overwhelmingly they say we've got to take care of this coronavirus in the U.S. And they say that Joe Biden is the best to handle that. When you look at the economy, Donald Trump and Joe Biden neck and neck in Pennsylvania. The most important issue in Pennsylvania, the economy, pandemic, they're behind. It's interesting. Let's look at independents in Pennsylvania. Joe Biden owning independents so far as the exit polls are concerned in Pennsylvania.
Chris Christie, neighboring state of yours in New Jersey, always going to be an uphill battle for the president, but essential.
Listen, vital, has to have it. And I do think, though, that the things that we're seeing, still, I think this is very early, but there's underperformance in Philadelphia, even though those numbers don't indicate it. That's what I continue to hear. And so I think they're still feeling like they can turn out their day of vote in a way that's going to make it very close. No one's predicting a win there yet, that I've heard, but no one's promoting a loss yet either.
Rahm Emanuel, the Biden campaign probably spent more time, energy, money, focus on Pennsylvania than any other state.
There's no doubt about it. And the vice president, if you remember in your town hall, when the guy stood up and was, oh, I know you, you're a sheriff. I mean, he's got to feel like a precinct captain or a county exec. They look at these numbers, and I would say there's a regional thing that's starting to happen. You look at the Ohio number, you look at Pennsylvania numbers, they're early, but there are trend lines where Joe Biden is outperforming in the suburbs. He's outperforming among working class, and he's also outperforming in the rural areas, even though you don't count it. Just minimizing the losses is doing well. So he is doing really in those areas well. The vote total, in the sense of how many people show up in the suburbs versus working industrial areas versus urban, is going to be what's really interesting. Because I think the urban areas may not be performing to the kind of baseline of what people were expecting.
Are you seeing that across the country now? Everybody's not performing as well?
That's not what we're seeing, and that's why I want to make sure I reserve comments. We see that we're seeing a lot of, particularly in Ohio, Hamilton County, Cuyahoga County, Franklin County, huge turnout there. I mean, we're running not just on a presidential, but down ticket. We're winning all these races down ticket as well. And so I think we'll just have to wait and see. Some of those places like Cuyahoga, for instance, people were still in line up until about a half an hour ago in Cuyahoga County.
Tonight, wait and see. We're going to be doing that with every state all night long. Sarah Fagan, the Trump campaign was hoping after that last debate where they thought that Joe Biden made a blunder by talking about ending fossil fuels and the issue of fracking. They thought that could give them headway in western Pennsylvania and coal country in these final 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think it probably will give him some headway. You know, whether he wins it or not, we'll see. I think Pennsylvania, to me, is the best case of the mirage, the red and blue mirage. We don't know whether these are early votes, whether these are absentee votes, whether they're day of votes yet. And so, you know, I would go back to something Nate Silver said, has been repeating over and over tonight. Wait till an entire jurisdiction is in before you get too excited.
I think we have to do that. There's no question about that. Eva Pilgrim, you spent a lot of time with suburban women in the state of Pennsylvania.
That's right, George. And specifically with moms, a lot of them telling me they usually avoid talking about politics amongst their mom groups, but this year that just wasn't possible because so many of the things that are very political right now directly impact them and their children. In their text chains, you can see what some of those things are. They're talking about masking their children. They're talking about virtual learning. Are you sending your kid back to school? Should we go on vacation this summer? Those were all the discussions that they were having. And a lot of these moms telling me that, you know, previously in other elections, they weren't really that plugged in They've maybe voted in a presidential election prior, but this year they thought it was very important to vote. George?
Eva Pelgrim, thanks very much. Let's go to Nate Silver before we go to break. Nate, let's take one more look at your magical forecast. You can call it magical, your very scientific forecast there. What happens if Pennsylvania flips this year, went to Donald Trump 4 years ago, goes to Joe Biden this time around?
So again, I'm going to make things a bit more suspenseful. Give Donald Trump Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, but then if you give Biden Pennsylvania, it's going to show the numbers going up. We'll see where it calculates here in a second. It's not quite the same as Ohio because it's a little bit of a more purple state. But you see Biden's up to 91% despite losing the South. If you lose that Pennsylvania, you have to hold Wisconsin.
So that's really, it kind of brings you back to where you were at the beginning of the night.
It narrows the range, right? If Biden wins Pennsylvania, I think they're not going to fall apart from the Midwest. He's also not going to have any type of landslide victory. It would bring the probability back. It would mean that you have a close election where Biden is favored. It's kind of wide range of possible outcomes.
Chris?
Just heard from Republican leadership in Ohio that Trump has now pulled ahead in Ohio and that they believe Trump will win between 1.5 and 2 points.
Right now, what we're seeing on our board right now is 64% of the expected vote in. Joe Biden just ahead by a little bit, but you're saying you're getting that from your sources right now inside
Yes.
Ohio. They're looking at the vote that they're still waiting on, and they believe, at least we're not ready to say that, they believe that Donald Trump will win the state of Ohio. Have to take another
How do
quick
you
break.
know
We'll be
that
right
if you
back.
haven't even looked at the vote? That sounds really weird to me.
These are real people, not actors, who've got their eczema under control. With less eczema, you can show more skin. So roll up those sleeves and help heal your skin from within with Dupixent. Dupixent is the first treatment of its kind that continuously treats moderate to severe eczema or atopic dermatitis, even between flare-ups. Dupixent is a biologic and not a cream or steroid. Many people taking Dupixent saw clear or almost clear skin and had significantly less itch. Don't use if you're allergic to Dupixent. Serious allergic reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis, which is severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, or a parasitic infection. If you take asthma medicines, don't change or stop them without talking to your doctor. So help heal your skin from within and talk to your eczema specialist about Dupixent. If your financial situation has changed, we may be able to help.
I work a lot of odd jobs, so I never really know where my next paycheck's coming from. Last week, I was a balloon artist, and before that, I was a dog masseuse. So, it's a good thing Safe Auto offers a low down payment. Yes, that's why they're the insurance for the rest of us.
What about that IT job Frank got for you?
That's not an odd job. I only do odd jobs, you know this, honey.
It was good money.
So was that new model job I did for that art class.
Ready to take your immune support to the next level? Nature's Bounty is here for you. The #1 herbal supplement brand has everything you need to help keep your immune system strong. Immune support comes naturally with Nature's Bounty.
Struggling to get through the day?
I'm going to tell you what I tell our kids. There's nothing wrong with quitting.
Hang in there, because ABC's got a night of new Wednesday comedy.
He said there's nothing wrong with quitting.
We're all getting
He
married.
said there's nothing wrong with quitting.
Thing with me is taking years off your life.
Party up with the Connors. How painful is it to just be friendly?
You don't know me at all.
And fight for what's right on Blackish.
Did you leave our son in a riot?
The preferred term is uprising.
Your comedy Wednesday on ABC.
Sometimes we all need saving. Lord help us.
Thursday, November 12th, it's the Station 19 Grey's Anatomy crossover premiere event.
We need to not give up.
If there's something you need to tell me, now's the time. With a shocking, jaw-dropping ending that will have everyone say,
Oh my God.
You won't save your room.
We are back now, ABC News election headquarters in New York, coming up on 10 p.m. in the East. There you see the electoral map. Joe Biden has won 9 states, 89 electoral votes. Donald Trump has won 10 states and 72 electoral votes. All the big swing states still in play right now. Let's take a look now at the state of Georgia, one of the key battlegrounds at the end of this campaign. 16 electoral votes, 46% of the vote in right now, and Donald Trump has a fairly sizable lead right now. Tom Yamas, what more can we say about where Georgia is right now?
Look, we can't stop talking about Georgia yet because it's still very, very early. And the reason why I say this is because look at Atlanta right now. We're still waiting for a lot of the vote to come out of some of these huge counties where Democrats are going to run up the vote. Joe Biden's doing well in these counties around Atlanta that he needs to. He's building off Hillary Clinton's lead that she had here. He's expanding the map even further. The problem for Joe Biden is at the red counties, President Trump's base, and this is something we're seeing throughout the country, at least in some of the big battleground states. President Trump's base is showing up and they're voting, and a lot of this, you see all the red around here, almost the same as 2016. The blue counties are the same. What we have to find out, what we have to figure out is what the counties at the end of the night in the Atlanta counties. If Joe Biden can run up the score there, he can tighten this up. But President Trump has got to be happy with this number at this hour right now, but to get a lot of the vote out in Atlanta.
Lindsay Davis, what are you seeing in Georgia?
You know, Georgia is 6 overall when it comes to the total number of coronavirus cases in our country. I think that one good image is that Governor Kemp today dropped off his ballot in a ballot drop box because he's quarantining because he came into contact with somebody who tested positive on Friday, though it's worth noting that he also did take a rapid test and has subsequently tested negative. But look, we're seeing the same thing that we saw in North Carolina, where the 3 counties that are hardest hit by coronavirus, all are counties that voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. We'll remember that Governor Kemp was criticized for trying to open up Georgia early, and he then sued, had that lawsuit against Keisha Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, when she implemented that mask mandate, which he later dropped. But what's interesting is, you know, black voters make up 32% of the eligible voting population in Georgia, and a lot has been said tonight about the black voters not turning out, and I do think that it's relevant to talk about the disproportionate effect on black and brown communities. Of course, you know, black people make up 13% of the population, but 20% of the COVID deaths, 1 out of 900 black people have died as a result of coronavirus.
Okay, Lindsay Davis, thanks very much. Let's take another look at the state of Texas. Not expected to be a battleground this year, but it was close. Right now, about 76% of the expected vote. Donald Trump has about a 2-point lead over Joe Biden right now. Tom, what stands out?
COVID, all the other plans that we have. Texas here in the middle of the map, so you can see a little bigger. Absentee, basically neck and neck, George. Look at that right there. Democrats had to build a lead on the early vote, especially in a state like Texas. But Republicans showed up early as well, and they voted there in Texas. Look, a lot of red counties. Texas has been Republican for a very long time. Jimmy Carter was the last Democrat to win this state. Some things that are good for Democrats are in the Dallas County suburb areas, and we'll show you why. So Fort Worth, which is usually a Republican stronghold, put this out there. Tarrant County, 49%. It's neck and neck. President Trump won this by almost 10 points 4 years ago. We go a little bit higher here to Denton County. It's the same story. President Trump underperforming there. But here's something that's interesting. In Houston, Harris County, the biggest county so far, it's essentially the same race as it was 4 years ago. Harris County, Houston, is an area where the Democrats have to run up the score even more if they have any chance of winning in Texas. Because you go to one of these red counties, George, look at that. In East Texas, it's 3-1, and it's like that all across East Texas.
That data is in Texas. It looks like John Cornyn is going to be returned as a Republican senator from Texas. But in the final days of his campaign, he started to break a little bit, uncharacteristically, from President Trump.
Well, I think he saw the numbers in Texas and the changing nature. He's catching up to the changing nature of the state of Texas, which, as we talked about earlier, has gone from a solid red state to now, I think, a slightly red state. I think in the end, Biden's going to get really close in this state as I look at the numbers. Very close, closer than any presidential candidate in 40-some-odd years. But I don't think he's going to have enough. It's those last 2 or 3 points that are really hard, but he'll get really close. The other thing I'm going to say is what's played out in Florida is not playing out in Texas. So I think I counsel everybody to not interpret one place as meaning it's going to affect another place. The Hispanic vote here went really well for Joe Biden, much better than Donald Trump did here last time among the Hispanic vote. So I just counsel everybody that one state, Florida, may be about Florida, but it may not necessarily be about others.
What are we seeing? Thank you, Matt, in the exit polls in Texas, David?
You know, similar to what Matt Dowd was saying, you know, some pretty decent exit polls for the president, though, who's looking at this 55% approved. But to Matt's point on the Latino vote, which is significant, 59% went for Joe Biden, though I'll point out that Hillary Clinton had 61% of 4 years ago, so Joe Biden still some pretty big road there. He's going to match her numbers.
On here, because I have
In the East, polls are going to close in 4 more states. We'll be
whatsoever,
right back.
but I need a darker shade.
Another bundle in the books.
Gotta hand it to you, Jamie. The knowledge of Victorian architecture really paid off this time.
Just got lucky. So did the Thompsons. Their faulty wiring could cost them a lot more than the mudroom.
Thankfully, they bundled their motorcycle with their home and auto. They're protected 24/7.
What do you say? One more game of backgammon?
You're right.
I see you found the snacks.
Delicious. I need this recipe.
Everyone thinks I made them, but it's actually decon. What was that? Judy?
Decon. Nice weather. To death.
Colgate Optic White Renewal removes 10 years of yellow stains. That's like all the way back to 2010.
What's that? It's your shake weight. It's a weight you shake.
Remove 10 years of yellow stains with Colgate Optic White Renewal.
Black markets are all around us.
It's not very great.
I'm a journalist on a mission to find my way inside.
Good Morning America tomorrow morning. Wake up to real-time answers, real-time results the morning after this historic election with the most powerful team in politics live. First thing in the morning, ABC. Good Morning America.
I will be damned.
You're watching a Central Florida
I'm
Decides
spending my
update
night
on Eyewitness
watching
News.
this. And I'm
While
returning
the
back on
majority
to
of the election
You
night has
don't
unfolded
know.
smoothly here in Central Florida, we are
What I'm not
continuing to
gonna do.
monitor an internet outage that is affecting the Osceola County
only reason why I'm
Supervisor
even
of
watching
Elections
it now
office.
is
It
because
has
my
actually
husband's
delayed some results
fucking
in
hate
some of those precincts. Good evening. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Martha Sigowski.
We'll get you back to ABC's coverage momentarily. I'm Greg Wolf. Let's get you caught up on
If I
where the
had my
state stands in the
choice, I'm
race for
watching
the White
Naruto
House. I
right
know
now.
that ABC's been
Or
talking
Black
about it,
Hole.
but as we
I
look
would
here, you
not
can see that it does appear that
ever
there'll be more
be
red than
watching
blue
Naruto.
here. President Donald Trump looks as though that he did very well in Miami-Dade, and he is up 51% to 47% to the former Vice President Joe Biden. Was it the socialist message that the president and his commercials tried to portray Biden as that helped those Cuban voters to swing into the red side? We'll have to wait and see. This is not broken down just yet, but we can tell you it looks like President Trump will win Florida.
And let's take a look at the race for U.S. House of Representatives. This is District 9, where the Democrat Darren Soto winning against William Bill Olson, the Republican in this one. It was called a while ago. Again, Darren Soto will be keeping his job.
And U.S. House of Representatives, District number 10, no surprise here,
not know
Val
you can
Demings.
use
Again, this is her
handy
third
dandy
win
pencil looking
and her
thing.
third term of 2
It's
years.
really not a
And
pencil,
she
it's
wins
like
against
wrapped
Vina
up
Francois.
paper.
No
But
surprise
it
here,
helps you shade it
64% to
in.
36%. And the race for
It helps
Florida
you
State
shade
House
things in more
Representative,
clearly
District
without
47,
putting the line
Anna
with the
Escamani
pencil.
continues
Like,
to
it looks
represent
great.
this
I'm
area
so grateful
in
for this gift.
Tallahassee with a sizable win tonight over Jeremy Sisson, the Republican. Again, Anna Escamani wins re-election.
Let's check out Amendment 1. This is the results right now. Citizenship required to vote with 94% of the precincts reporting, 79% going to the yes column on this one. This basically, Greg, you talked about this for a bit. It changes a word in the Constitution right now. It changes only A to always. Citizen? Yes. So the voters voting yes for that.
It seems like it was maybe, yeah, let's have that be in there, but then critics say it's xenophobic and it's trying to shut people down.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's going to pass. If you're watching us on Channel 9 and want more local Central Florida Decides coverage, turn to Central Florida's TV 27. Now back to ABC's coverage.
Tomorrow morning, watch Eyewitness News for the latest information and reaction to the election. Our team will deliver the important up-to-the-minute breaking news from across Central Florida and the nation. Watch Eyewitness News this morning, tomorrow, starting at 4:30 a.m.
Overnight, we may have changes in the weather and traffic.
Every 10 minutes, you just
never know where this cash is are popping up.
You don't need the umbrella.
Here,
You
so I
can
know
jack
that's
from
the
the
right,
morning
and this is
Before
the
we
left.
actually get on the road.
You'll know what to be prepared for, and you can plan around that as we go throughout the day.
While never to be taken for granted, safety and protection at our facilities for patients, loved ones, and employees is without question. Our commitment is unwavering, and that won't stop. We're confident that Orlando Health is the safest environment for giving and receiving care. And while our gowns and gloves, glasses and masks may hide
Should
our
I turn the
smiles,
TV off
it's the
on my
compassion
husband?
and care that shines through.
I feel like I should. I definitely feel like I should put Naruto on.
Central Florida's chief
This would be so much.
meteorologist
That
Tom
would be
Terry
so much
on
better than
Channel
listening to
9.
this bullshit ass news.
This is an ABC News
Because I don't know if you can hear it.
America is
I can
voting
hear
in
it.
record numbers.
I don't want to hear it though.
Your next
I don't.
president.
Don't listen to it at all.
Police officers, the middle class, law-abiding, hard-working American patriots.
Shut the fuck up,
There
son.
will be no blue states or red states, just the United States. I'll work as hard for those who vote against me as those who voted for me, because that's what a president's supposed to do.
Live from New York City and
Tell 'em,
across the
Biden.
country,
Tell 'em.
Election night 2020. Now reporting, Chief Anchor George Stephanopoulos.
Coming up on 10 p.m. in the East, and we have a long way to go on this election night 2020. That's where things stand right now. Joe Biden has won 9 states, 89 electoral votes. Donald Trump has won 10 states, 72 electoral votes, but all of the big battlegrounds are still out there right now. The polls are still just closed in 4 additional states. Let's take a look at that right now. State of Iowa, key state in the middle of the country, 6 electoral votes, key Senate race there as well. We cannot project a winner right there, but Kenya Whitworth is on the ground for us in Iowa tonight, where she's focused on the rural vote. Kenya.
Yeah, hey, George, so 75% of rural voters cast their ballot for Donald Trump in 2016. It was certainly the case here in Iowa. And this is a place where they are focused on the economy and job security. And 1 in 5 of those jobs is in agriculture. And some of those people are really hurting right now, particularly the farmers. Their crops were decimated by weather. First, they saw the drought and then the windstorm. They're battling COVID-19. And, of course, Trump's trade wars with China. Now, the federal government dumped $37 billion into aid to American farmers, but some that I spoke with here in Iowa simply said that's not enough. It doesn't make them whole, and their vote cannot be bought. One farmer in particular said he simply cannot overlook the lack of civility in the White House, and he cast his vote for Joe Biden. Now, it's important to note here that, of course, Donald Trump has a lot of support. He was made an honorary member of the Iowa Corn Growers Association, which is a big deal here. I also spoke with one farmer who said, finally, someone is standing up to China. He said, quite frankly, that is something that the Obama-Biden administration didn't do, and so he
It's
was
so
happy
fucking
to
funny
cast
that
his
y'all
vote,
want to
of
complain
course, for
about
Donald
how
Trump and
your
George
farmers'
Edgerton.
crops
Really
cannot
tight
be
Senate race
distributed,
here is neck
and you're
neck.
having
The
problems
Republican
and would
incumbent
love
Joni
China to
Ernst
go away,
pulling
when
ahead
there's
in
millions of
recent
people in the
polls
fucking
as
world
she's trying to
starving
fend
with
off
no
the Democratic
food,
challenger, Theresa
when you
Reed.
have
But
all
I'm
these
so
crops and all
surprised
this shit
that
you're
such a
worried
bad
about
week
China
for
coming
Joni
in and
Ernst. She's a
stealing,
rising star
when you
in
can
the
distribute
Republican Party, and
this
Teresa
food
Greenfield,
for maybe a slightly cheaper
relatively
price,
unknown. She describes
and guess
herself
what?
as a
Make your
businesswoman
fucking
and
money,
a scrappy
and you ain't gotta
farm
worry
girl.
about China.
But the
But
Democrats,
no,
George, dumped
you wanna
$94
sell your
million
food and your
into her
products
campaign,
at
trying
a
to fill
margin
that
of
seat.
1,000% to make money, and then want to complain that it's China's fault that you're not making your crops sell. It ain't nobody else's fucking fault but your own.
Projected winner yet. Polls have also closed in the state of Utah.
Ooh, I hate
State, but we cannot call that yet. 6 electoral votes, and the polls have closed in the state of
I
Montana.
want to blame
3
everybody
electoral
else in the
votes, key Senate
world,
race there
including
as
China,
well, but not enough votes
for your
in to make a
problems, and really
projection
it's
yet.
probably
So
your
we
own
want to
fucking
look now
problem.
at one of the key states in that
But
so-called
no,
blue
nobody in
wall
the
for
fucking
Democrats,
world
the
wants to
state
take
of Michigan.
accountability.
Right now, 23% of the expected vote is in, and Donald Trump, it appears, Tom Giannis has a huge lead right now.
Yeah, okay, so spoiler alert, it's a little funky right now in Michigan, okay? Let me show you why. The big reason, George, is because we don't have the early vote